Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Young Men Podcast. I'm joined today by my co host, Connor Stiles, and our friend, Sierra. Don't know if I'm allowed to say your last name. I didn't ask.
Oh,
We don't have to say your last name. Yep. Okay. uh, so, the Young Men's Podcast, as we've stated before, is not a podcast just for men, although I see why you might think that. And my mom recommended a while ago that we change the name of the podcast, but I had already completed the branding. So it was too late and we had to stick with the name. Basically, this podcast is intended to just kind of be a place where people our age can discuss things that are on our minds. And so that includes men and women, obviously. And the reason why we chose the name Young Men is just because this idea for the podcast was started around a group of roommates. And we were all kind of guy friends together. And so that's where we got the name for the podcast. But this podcast is for everybody our age. Today we're talking about hills to die on. And I think kind of to tie this into like why this might be relevant to people our age. I mean, people our age can be very opinionated in our 20s, especially we're forming opinions. So we're going to be talking a little bit about why maybe it's a good thing to be open-minded, but also why maybe it's a good thing to be close-minded about some things. I don't know. Maybe it is a good thing. Maybe it's not. So we're going to start off with this first question before we dive into what hills would we die on. We're going to talk about hills that we regret taking a stand on. And maybe this is like opinions that we had when we were younger that just did not age well at all. So, Connor, I'm going to let you start us off on this one. What is a hill that you regret taking a stand on?
I don't know if it's necessarily that I regret it. It's just a hill that I have since changed my view of, and that is that every single person should have a dog. And I used to think that everyone needed a dog. If you didn't want a dog, you were heartless and just didn't like happiness. And just as I've gotten older, I've realized that there's a lot of perks to having pets and a lot of perks to not having pets. And I'm now closer to the hill of I don't want pets. But I mean,
Really? You
generally, yeah,
flipped.
I flipped. And I think
Woof.
it's just I saw the benefits of not having pets. If you go on vacations, you don't have to worry about animals at home, or you don't have to try to bring your animals. You don't have vet bills. You just have less to worry about. That being said, I still understand why people love dogs or other animals, other pets. It's just something that I personally think that it's okay not to have pets now.
So, wait, where does the regret come? I know you said you don't really have tons of regrets. Your opinion has just changed. Did you ever
Yeah.
deeply offend someone on your strong opinion that everyone should have a dog?
yeah, like
Like
what
Um,
about cat
maybe,
people?
yeah, what the heck? Or maybe a
mm,
roommate who didn't grow up with pets and was kind of
yeah,
opposed.
I'm not really too concerned about the feelings of cat people. So maybe that's something I should regret, and I probably did offend some people because I despise cats. Most cats, every once in a while, you'll find a cat or two that act like a dog. And so they're better. But at that point, why don't you just have a dog?
Sierra, this is a hot take for sure. I knew you grew up with cats and dogs, right?
Uh-huh.
Has your
I
opinion on household pets changed at all over the years?
I too also thought that everybody should always have a dog, but I was a child, so like I didn't have to do any of the work. Right? I'm like everyone should freaking have a dog and a parent who takes care of them, right? I think it all like comes together. But I also still love dogs, and I currently am taking care of my brother-in-law's cat, so that happened. I did not like cats growing up, but this cat is like a dog. So I can appreciate this cat, but still, a dog can't go on hikes with you, can't go like running with you. Not that I do that anymore, but if I ever did do that again, I would want a dog. And yeah, I don't know. I just
Can't you put a leash on a cat?
no, yeah, I think you definitely can. I think there's just maybe a perception that would it's a different genre of people maybe than I am, and I'm not that genre, so that's I mean you can sure, but maybe not for me.
Clearly, I don't know anything about pets, but that is an interesting one to change opinions on. Have you guys seen the docuseries on Netflix? It's like getting into a cat's mind or something, where the whole docuseries is just about like scientists who study cat behavior. There's literally PhD graduates who are studying cats' behavior, like household cats. Have you guys seen that?
No, but you can really get a PhD in anything, I guess, is the takeaway from that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember from The Office, I learned that you can get a degree in Klingon from Star Trek.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, this docuseries on Netflix said that where was it? It was like in Japan or something that cats have surpassed any other pet as like the number one household pet. And I think there was like 800 million household cats worldwide or something like that. Some crazy
Are
number.
those household cats in a home or roaming the street? Because that's kind of another issue. In Puerto
I have
Rico,
no
there's like feral cats everywhere. There's also a lot in Korea, but just like everywhere. Yeah.
I don't know how they measure that, and frankly, I don't trust that docuseries. It seemed kind of like a sham. So, yeah. All right.
One thing I want to clarify is I do like dogs. I think dogs are great. I think they're fun and cute. I have a friend who has a desk calendar that each day it ranks like pictures of dogs just on how cute they are. And every single one is above a 10 out of 10. They're all like 12 out of 10, 13 out of 10. So I think dogs are great. It's just, I think I will enjoy having a petless home, but visiting the dogs of like my parents or other people I know.
Sure. See, that's how I feel about kids right now. So I think that's similar. Super cute. Love to visit. Yeah.
That is that going to be your hill that you want to talk about, Sierra? Children?
No, it's not. It's not a hill I've died on or intend to die on. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get really political real quick with these. No, but Sierra, what is your hill that you regret taking a stand on?
Well, this is going to sound kind of conceited. I have strong opinions constantly. I talk in absolutes. I feel like everything I say is like I'm stating the hill that I'm going to die on. And I don't really care. I don't regret that. So I don't often regret taking strong stances, even though they're often wrong. But one time I did absolutely insist that M&M colors were not different flavors. And I still stand by that. But it went to the point where in my office in college, we like did a taste test. And I don't really remember the results, but my husband claims that we proved definitively that people could taste the different color candy coatings on M&Ms and that it came out like with a greater than chance outcome. But I just don't think that's true. And that's the hill that I died on and maybe regret because it caused a lot of conflict in the office. But I just still don't think it's true, even though we had the data to prove it. I don't know.
What?
I don't think that. Do you? What?
Were you
like
the only person
true.
that they are not different flavors?
Thank you so much. They're not. They're not.
I can't. So were you like the only one who believed that they were the same flavor? Why was this even a discussion?
Yes, because I was the only one who was like, absolutely not. Like, blue is no different than brown or green or yellow, orange, or red.
My question is like, what flavors did they think they were?
I
Because
think
like Skittles, like it even says
right.
them on the package, like what flavor they are. But M&Ms, like
Yeah,
I
let me
wouldn't even
clarify.
want different flavors.
Maybe not flavor. I guess people were claiming they could taste the like red 40 or the yellow 20, like the
Oh,
food
like the
dyes,
dye.
but they taste different. So again, I don't believe that's true.
That
But
is, well, I feel like you just brought a hill to get validated, Sierra. And
what?
I hope we helped, because that, yeah, that is insane that that was even a discussion. I'm sorry that that caused fallout.
Not really. I mean, I married one of those coworkers, and the other ones like we're still friends, so it wasn't like a really big deal. So,
Wow.
um, yeah. But more seriously, I do regret when I was younger. I like died on a lot of hills about rules. I was like really into rules in like elementary school, middle school, like really into rules, like laws, rules. And as I got older, and especially now, like I don't care really about any laws or rules. Like unless the laws or rules are about like preventing harm to other people, I don't care. Like I really am like do literally whatever you want. So I really regret having that view as a younger kid, but I'm happy that I've moved beyond that. Yeah.
This is being recorded. What laws in particular do you not care about?
Arsony. No, I'm just kidding. I just think, like I said, if it doesn't have to do with like protecting someone or like preventing harm, then I don't get the point of the law. So like, I don't know, just in
Bank
general, like
robbery?
that's harm. So no,
Not if the
nothing
bank's
with
insured.
guns. Right. So like, I mean, theoretically, someone like needs money and they've been like scammed. We don't have like universal health care. They ran out of money to try to pay for their family's like treatment. They need to do something that's a little like shady, but like is not going to hurt anybody. Absolutely. So that's where I am now. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good hill. I think Connor and I were both rule followers growing up as well. Connor, probably you still are. That's probably safe to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
So
And
that was
that's
pretty edgy.
okay too. It's a world where you can be free to be you, and I guess that's my point. Like if being you or doing you is a little different, that's good. And if it's following the lines, that's cool too. You know.
My hill actually kind of ties into those having like strict rules growing up. And most of mine were around dating, which my parents are wonderful. But we had pretty strict dating rules growing up. Um, so I have some hills that I regret there. But the one that I landed on, freshman year of college, Connor, I don't know if you remember me saying this all the time, but I said, it's so stupid. The girl I marry, I want to chase. I don't want it to be easy. That was the most stupid thing I could have ever said.
You just like had
I'm
such a privileged
27.
life. You were like looking for a challenge. Like what? Where is this coming
No,
from?
I just it's so terrible. Yeah, it was a conceited idea that um I thought there would be some women at college that would date anybody. Oh gosh. Um yeah, so I was like, no, I want it to be like I want the woman that I marry to be such a catch that it like is really hard for me to like convince her to marry me, because I thought that those stories that people shared were so awesome. When like, yeah, I had to beg her to marry me. I was like, yeah, that's I don't know why. It's dumb. I'm 27 and I'm not married, and it's karma. And now I'm like, Lord, please don't make me chase anyone else.
I don't think it's that bad. You're just trying to level up, essentially, right? You're just like, I'm trying to go out of my league. Who
Right,
doesn't want to level
exactly.
up, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And luckily the girl that I'm dating is way out of my league. But
It's
I
perfect.
also, yeah, but I also think that when you meet someone that fits with you well, I don't think it has to be as difficult as I was imagining. So
Yeah.
that's good. Um, the other one that I put was not going on roller coasters, because I was definitely afraid of them And now I just sound like a pansy anytime someone goes to a theme park, and I'm like, I'm kind of scared of roller coasters. I don't want to go. And that's why Connor is going to help me this summer with the girl that I'm dating to go on roller coasters. I've only been on one my whole life. So we're going to do that.
Wow. Well, that's a whole other topic that I think could be covered, right? But just roller coasters and fear in general. Is fear a good motivator, or is it okay to not do things that you're terrified of because you'll have anxiety the whole time? You know.
That's a good question. I think as long as something aligns with your values, you should not let fear get in the way. But if it does not matter at all, then I don't think you need to worry about tackling it. One of my values is being open to trying new things, not being so close-minded. So other people enjoy roller coasters, and I'm going to take a lot of Dramamine and also enjoy them.
Let
Good
it be
luck.
known that Josh was willing to go skydiving before he rode a second roller coaster.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like that's the worst part. The worst part on any roller coaster is like the drop.
Oh,
So,
that's
Yes.
the best part.
That didn't happen in skydiving, so I haven't been prepared at all for roller coasters.
you were skydiving, literally being dropped from the sky. What do you mean there was no
But
drop?
the plane is moving. Connor, back me up on this. The plane is moving forward, so the wind is pushing you strongly in one direction. So you don't really feel a drop because there's so much like force pushing you to the side.
Yeah, the way
What?
the skydive people explained it is like that feeling that you get when you like drop on the roller coaster is the feeling of acceleration. But when you're going skydiving, you're already going so fast in the plane that they said you don't accelerate too much, you're just changing directions. So instead of just going like through the sky, you're going down through the sky.
Okay. I don't believe that at all. But it's
Well,
really interesting.
the skydiving people seemed like they knew what they were doing. At least we
Let's
hope
be
they did.
open-minded.
I'm
Let's
like,
be
I
open.
hate drops on roller coasters. I don't go on roller coasters because of
Oh
that.
wow. Okay, so you don't go on roller coasters. This is not good for me to hear.
No, let me just like back up and take a quick detour on this so that you have the confidence to do this summer with this lovely woman and Connor. It's gonna be great. I used to like love roller coasters, loved them, 10 out of 10, all about it. And then in my elderly age, I don't know, something happened. I was like 23 and I went on a roller coaster and it went down really steep and I was like, I'm gonna die, and I hated it. And so I don't do drops. I don't mind upside down. I don't mind fast. But if it's like Splash Mountain is scary for me to go on because of the drop, which is like a little kid ride at Disneyland. And I went on another one at Universal and I had a panic attack the whole hour and a half wait in line and the whole ride because of the drop. But I'm just wrapping it up here in a positive way. But so I had this like panic attack the whole time, even though there was like a 6-year-old sitting like right in front of me. It didn't make me feel better. But at the end, I found out that if I just like buckle over, that the drop didn't even bother me that much. So like in the end, it was fine, and I shouldn't have like stressed out and panicked for 2 hours.
What do you mean buckle over? Like bend forward?
Like, you know, when they take like pictures on roller coasters, like when you're coming down the thing, you like can't, you can see like a flat back of like whatever shirt I'm wearing. That's how much like buckled over I am. Like there's no face. Kiera, who is she? We don't know her because she wasn't on that ride. Because I don't know, maybe I just like feel more secure. I don't know. It helps.
That's a good tip. It's a good way to dodge my fear while experiencing roller coasters.
Yeah, but also like don't be worried about it. It's gonna be okay.
It says the person who had a panic attack going down one. Connor, you just got back from Ohio.
Before I had it was after it was over. I was like, oh, I should have been wasting all my stress for the day on that. So.
Wow. Okay, I'm scared. Connor, you just got back from Roller Coaster Park in Ohio, and you had a good time, right?
Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I hope to one day. Let's move on to our next question because we need to pick up the pace here. I don't know if people are going to be interested in our roller coaster dialogue. Who wouldn't? Okay, what hill would you die on? I can go ahead and take this one first. Um, there's a hill called Little Round Top, and in the Civil War, the Union Army positioned their men on top of this hill, and they were the flank of the army, and the Confederates were pushing up the hill, and their goal was to overwhelm this little Union Army group on the top of the hill so that they could surround the rest of the Union Army. And there was a man, Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, who was a professor who was leading these men, and they stood their ground, and lots of them died, and then they ran out of ammo, but the Confederates were still charging up the hill. Yeehaw! So they fixed their bayonets on their guns and decided to charge down the hill, even though they didn't have any ammo, and try and scare the Confederate soldiers. And it totally worked. The Confederates surrendered, even though they had way more people and way more ammo. And it's so epic. And I would love to die on that hill there because it's a sacred hill. Another literal hill that I would like to die on.
Lots to unpack there, but okay, moving on.
Another literal. I don't know why I thought of literal hills when I read this question that I wrote, but I did.
Okay. Yeah.
Another literal hill that I want to die on is the Cooper's Hill Cheese race hill. The one where they roll a wheel of double Gloucester cheese down a 200-foot hill and everyone chases it. I think it's in Scotland. Have you guys seen these videos?
Yeah.
If I am going to die, I would like to die chasing a wheel of cheese down a beautifully green, grassy slope.
Like
and
a
if
rat.
you haven't seen those videos, you should watch them because it is shocking the way that people throw themselves down that hill after the cheese. Okay, here are my real answers. Number one real answer, Citrusel is one of God's greatest miracles. It's a fiber supplement that regulates your bowel movements, and it has saved me from many GI issues.
That's your
And
serious one?
Yes. If you're having bowel problems, take Citrusel. And this is my last one. Everyone loves hugs deep down. And now I know a lot of people will fight me on this. Maybe people who don't like hugs, maybe they don't like the physical feeling. Maybe it's like claustrophobic. Maybe they just get uncomfortable because they have social anxiety, or they're just not touchy people, like touches at the bottom of their love language.
Mm-hmm.
But hugs communicate, even if they don't like the physical act, they communicate like love and togetherness. And I think even if people don't like the act of hugging, they get the message deep down. And even if people tell you that they hate hugs, I don't care. I'm not gonna hug people that don't want to be hugged because I don't want to be thrown in prison. But if the hug option is available and I'm feeling strong emotions and I want to show the person that I love them, I'm going to hug them and trust that deep down they get what I'm trying to say. That's my hill that I would die on.
That's really sweet. I think there's lots of studies on how people both express and feel love that would like disprove what you just said.
Nope.
But it's just a really sweet sentiment what you're putting out there. It's very sweet.
How can scientists measure what is happening deep down inside someone? Of course, people are going to give their answers. I don't like hugs. Whatever. Brains are made up.
You're right. You're so right.
I don't want to read that study because I just love hugs so much. And it doesn't make sense to me that other people don't like hugs. Okay. Connor, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about literal hills, that I didn't even think about that. But as long as we're talking about that hill that's like the Microsoft Windows background, hopefully you know what I'm talking about. It's like it's all really green with like one tree on it. I would be content dying on that hill.
It's really beautiful there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as an old man or woman walking up to that hill and being like, I'm going to die here.
And then
is
I
laying
just
down in the
like
grass and giving up the
drift
ghost.
away into the wind.
And you become
Yeah,
one with the blades in the wind. Yes, that's
exactly.
beautiful.
Yeah. But my metaphorical hills that I would die on, the first one is heat is way better than cold. And usually people, when I say that, fight back saying, well, at least in the cold, you can always like put more layers on. In the heat, you can only take so many layers off. But when we're talking about like really cold or really hot, really cold is like painful. Really hot, I think, is just uncomfortable. And when you come in from like a really cold environment into like your house or something, it takes a while to heat back up and to like become comfortable again. But if you're outside and it's really hot and you go inside a house, you're like immediately feeling better. So I'll always take the heat over cold. And then my second hill is La La Land is a terrible movie. And
No!
I hold on. I
But
think
Emma
the
Stone
music
is a goddess.
I think the music is good. I hate the ending. It should not have a sad ending. They should end up together and it should have worked out so that she could be an actress and he could have owned like his jazz club or whatever. They could have done that in the same city. And it should have just had the happy ending. There's so many sad endings in the world that in our made up stories that we watch, they should have happy endings.
I
City of
actually really agree with
Stars.
that sentiment. Yeah, like
I
why
hate you
make fake
too.
life so sad when real life is so sad?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's shocking. Okay. The other Connor, just to push you a little bit. When in a super cold condition, when people like freeze to death in the snow, aren't they already numb and then they just get sleepy and then they just die in their sleep? Whereas if you're in the heat, don't you like vomit and throw up and your skin gets like super? I don't know. I would hate
I don't
knowing that.
know.
To be
I would
fair,
just
he didn't say it was better to die in the heat than the cold. He just said like
Oof.
living, existing. I
I
mean,
don't
I
know
would
why my
say.
mind goes to death like that. I'm sorry. Should probably get that checked out.
Yeah, why don't you talk? Yeah, that's for your next therapy appointment. Is talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Those are good hills, Connor. All right, Sierra.
Thank you.
Mine's also movie related. Avatar is just a way worse Fern Gully, and I will die on that hill to anyone who tries to fight me on it. Not a fan. Fern Gully is an amazing movie. Avatar is a poor remake of it, and I don't get why they spent billions of dollars on the CGI. It doesn't look that good. And I just watched the second one. Let me rephrase. I just watched 30 minutes of the second one. Couldn't bear it, and that's how I feel about that. And Fern Gully
Wait,
is the better movie. Yeah.
what is Friend Goalie? Did I say that
Oh
right?
my gosh, it's Fern Gully, and if you have not
Fern
seen it,
Goalie?
clear your schedule. Connor, have you seen it?
I don't think I've even heard of it.
What the
Clear
heck is
your
this?
friggin' schedule. Okay, it's an animated movie. Robin Williams voices the Bat character. It's an incredible movie. And you're going to watch this and be like, wow, this was a better and more succinct, might I add, Avatar. Because, you know, it's a children's movie. It's an hour and 20 minutes long. You don't need 10 hours to tell the same story. Yeah.
Sarah, Avatar is like the quintessential stereotypical bad military man runs the first inhabitants out of their land, save the trees movie.
No, Fern Gully is the Save the Trees movie, is what I'm saying. And it has Robin Williams. Oh,
Wow.
and what's his name? Rocky Horror Picture Show, Tim, someone. He's very famous and very iconic. He plays the transvestite in Rocky Horror Picture Show, which I've also never seen, but what's his name? Anyways, he's also in it as a voice of the character. It's a great movie. There's fairies, there's loggers, there's oil companies, deforestation.
Oh, wow.
There's a little bit of singing. Again, Robin Williams, comedy, and Avatar sucks. And I don't care that people know that. I hate it. I think it's boring. I think it's annoying. It's just a bunch of like dudes try to like let out their testosterone and taking over other, like, we already, that's the whole history of the entire world. Like, why do I want to see that on the screen? Like, I already know that's what happened. I feel really strongly about it. I think they're terrible movies, and I couldn't even watch the second one. Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I thought you'd be a big fan of Avatar, but that...
No.
Wow.
Yeah. It might be my most controversial opinion. Well, I don't know if that's true, but my most controversial opinion that I'll freely admit, maybe.
Sarah, if we go on Rotten Tomatoes and look up Ferngully right now, what score would we see?
Better say 100 friggin' percent. I'm looking it up right now. I'm here we go. And it only cost $24 million, so cost efficient. It made money. It didn't lose money. Yeah, I mean, it took a lot. It's a lot. It's old animation, 1992, so it took more time. 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, which we know is not real. So I mean, add 50% if you want a real opinion, right? So
was that from 107%?
I don't know. It was the first thing that came up on Google. I didn't vet my source. I just thought.
Wait, you should Google Avatar Rotten Tomatoes.
All right. I may or may not falsify the data that I see, but yeah. 12%. No, I'm just kidding. I'll look up the first one, Avatar 2009, and the fact that they have 3 more of these movies planned.
3 more? Are you serious?
Shocking to me. Yes.
I did not know that.
How are people? Okay, it has 82%. So, but how many people have seen Ferngully, right? 2. So.
That's okay. I'll try not to let those reviews stand in the way.
You have to watch it. It's so good.
Okay.
It's so good.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Any other hills that people want to share before we dive into the next question?
I'll share one positive one real quick.
Okay.
I just truly believe that like all people are like inherently good and have the ability to be good. That like a lot of people just like choose not to. Like people who are bad, like definitely they always have the ability to like be better, but like they like actively are making a choice to not do so. But I think that all people are like genuinely good and either making an active choice. Like I don't think people who are bad are like, oh, they don't know any better. I think that like humans know. Like if you're being like trashy to another person, like you know that's wrong. That's what I think.
I was having this conversation with someone else that can people who do bad things ever really be 100% accountable, because there's always something going on in their upbringing or their background or situation in life. I just feel like good people just don't turn bad for no reason. So I wonder, like, is someone always really 100% accountable for the bad things that they do? Are they?
It's a tough one. And I think it depends on like what kind of bad actions there are, right? Because like if it's like actions about like how you're treating other people, I think that yes, you're accountable for that because you know what it feels like to be treated, right? So like, you know, like when you're doing mean things to other people, like directly, like you would know what that would feel like if it happened to you, and that would be poor. Now, if we're talking about like people who like maybe like didn't have good parents, and maybe they don't have like good parenting styles or other things like that, like yes, but like you knew that was wrong. Like people who have bad parents, they know that their parents were terrible. Like they had a terrible time with them, and I don't know. I just think that yeah, you have to like afford everyone like some allotment of like grace and like I'm sorry that your situation like sucks. But also like I just think that people know. There's just like vibes, you know, like you know if you're like when you're being terrible to someone, like you know better. You just like either make a choice to like block it out of your brain, maybe you're a narcissist, like who knows. But
I think there's like sorry, I think there's people that have like grew up in terrible circumstances, but still became like a good person. So it is hard to judge like what people. Just people do grow up in a huge variety of different circumstances, or things happen to them, or people they care about. So it's hard to really make that judgment call. But it is always inspiring when people overcome really terrible things and are just good despite it all.
Yeah, for sure. I think like people, if they're given enough opportunities to be better, like they can. They don't always become better. I know a lot of people who've been given so many opportunities and they never make that choice to be better. But like, if they want to, they can. I guess is what I'm saying. You just like sometimes have to afford people more opportunities and more chances than others. But like, yeah.
Yeah, I think Kevin's life presents us so many chances. I will say though, having worked with like behavioral kids and stuff who have behavioral challenges, there are a lot of households that
Yeah.
like they just have no idea what good behavior looks like, and
Right.
unfortunately that has like a lifelong lasting impact on them. And no matter how
Mm-hmm.
much you like try and help them to see, some people it's just like hardwired to behave that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But anyways, wow, that is tangential. We could have a whole podcast on that too. All right, next question though. What's the value of open-mindedness? I think this question stems from this discussion that we want to have on like what's the value of being open-minded versus what's the value of sticking to your values and not letting like your core values go. So, Sierra, do you want to be the first to answer this question? What's the value of open-mindedness?
Yeah. Um, to me, open-mindedness is like the center of like how humanity can like exist, like how like a civilization can exist, like in like a together like situation. Like if you just had people who all were closed-minded, to me that seems like a civilization that's existing as like we did like a billion years ago when it was just like kind of like the like us versus them, right? You hear like people talk about that like evolutionarily, how like when it began out, it was like the first thing we had to overcome was like getting over just thinking about ourselves and thinking about like a community. And then after that, it was like us versus them, like our community versus that community. And that's like we're still stuck in right now as like a world, like we have not gotten over this whole like us versus them mentality. And to me, a lot of it comes down to being open-minded. Like if you're not willing to understand like them, like this other group, these people that are different from you, like culturally or like socioeconomically or education like backgrounds, like if you're not willing to like open your mind to understand this like other group, these others, then there's no way that you can like exist with them or to like listen to them or to like become like one with them and to work with them. So to me, I think that like open-mindedness is like one of the single greatest things to overcome this us versus them mentality, to be able to like make a more cohesive world with like greater peace and understanding. So I think it's number one.
So for you, it's like the quality of interaction between people when open-mindedness is present, like the
Yeah, it's
peace
about
that
the
exists.
communication, right? If you're closed-minded and you're going into a conversation, then why are you even going into that conversation, right? If not going into the conversation to try to learn or to try to prove your preconceived notions wrong, then why are you even trying to talk to this other person, if that makes sense? That's what I feel.
Yeah, I agree. Which is difficult to be open-minded, which I think we're going to talk about in a little bit. But just telling people to be, because we've had a lot of this sort of discussion in the last several years, and I think politics kind of spurred these conversations on. But um, like, yeah, we've heard a lot. Like, you need to be more open-minded. It's difficult to do when you have these like set values or beliefs that you grew up with, and maybe your circles don't run with other people's circles, and to make an effort to go out of your way to try and understand other people is kind of challenging. But Connor, how would you answer this question? What's the value of open-mindedness?
I think open mindedness opens the doors to a lot of progress. I mean, because if we were just never open-minded from the time that we were like super young, then nobody would eat vegetables. We would respond to everything by crying. We'd all be wearing diapers. Like there would just be, we would be stuck. And I think open-mindedness leads the way to a lot of just like technological advancements. Um, if people are open-minded to the possibility of other things working, then you have the ability to just progress as a human race. And I think it's able to make life a lot better.
So
Yeah.
Sierra mentioned like the personal, the community aspect. You've talked about like progression and advancement as a society. My answer was kind of along the same lines as Sierra, but like the common humanity. I just think life is difficult, and open-mindedness for me is just like learning empathy for other people. And I think if you know what other people are going through, um, and you have empathy and you're open to other people's experiences, then it just makes life a little bit easier because you have less people like attacking you or getting on your back about things. So I think it
For
just
sure.
creates peace. But is there a danger to being too open-minded? Because I feel like a lot of people our age will take extremes, and they'll, like, we've all seen this, like people who abandon all of their values because they were trying to be so open-minded, and then they completely flip sides, and now they're like closed-minded to how they used to be and all the values that they used to have, and now they're just closed-minded and hold to these new values that they've created.
I think that what I have experienced myself and what I've seen other people experience is that like this open-mindedness is kind of this arc. So like Connor says, like when we're young, like we're super open-minded because we just like have this desire and thirst for like this knowledge and to like know. And then like we like arc over and somewhere we like go the other way. And I don't really know why that is or what that is. But like we go the other way. We're like, oh, I've kind of discovered myself and what I like. And now like any other thought is like not correct or not with that. And so I don't want to know about it. And like we arc over to like this closed-mindedness again, which I think is really dangerous because I don't believe that open-mindedness is synonymous with like not knowing who you are and being able to like just change yourself and your values depending upon like who you're around or who you're listening to. So I don't believe that there's ever necessarily a time to be closed-minded because my definition of closed-minded would be like not willing to understand or not willing to learn. And as long as you're open-minded and you still have a strong sense of self, like you should always be able to like go into a situation like wanting to be disproven, right? Like it's a real challenge that I still struggle with too. Like I have a lot of really strong opinions and I sometimes don't want those to change, but it's really important in order to like for like self-actualization and just like the greater good of like the future of this world for us all to be able to go into conversations like wanting to be disproven or wanting to learn something new. And at the end of that, after you've taken in all the information, like you still stay with your sense of self and maybe it slightly changes for the better, but like you don't have to change who you are because of like what you learned or because of what you're able to empathize or to learn from another person. So to me, I don't think there's ever a time to be closed-minded if that means that like you're never willing to learn or to try to understand someone else's point of view.
That's a good point, that you don't have to like abandon your values just because someone else believes something different from you. Danielle is really good about like praising differences, which is a real struggle for me. Just because I feel like I am, to be honest, I am closed-minded about so many things, and differences really scare me. But there is value in strength and being okay with other people's differences, and I think it's worth working on. Connor, what are your thoughts on, is it dangerous to be too open-minded?
Yeah, I think if you're so open-minded that you don't really have a sense of self, which is, and you guys kind of already touched on, that's dangerous, because if you're just influenced by whatever the most recent piece of information is that you've gotten, and you just jump ship like with everything, I think that's dangerous. I think it's good to be open-minded in the sense that Sierra was talking about just being open-minded, and in that you're willing to learn about things. I don't think that that means, and I don't think Sierra was suggesting this at all. I don't think it means that you need to agree with everything that's out there, but um, learning, I don't think is bad. I think people still need to hold on to their core values, um, and be willing to learn about things, but also be okay if people don't agree with them.
Would you guys say, this is just my opinion, and I could be wrong about this. Look at me trying to be open-minded. Uh, but I feel like experience just has to be the best teacher when it comes to like keeping people open-minded. I feel like I would still be so close-minded about so many things if life just hadn't handed me like challenging experiences. Like it was those experiences that kind of was the foundation for me changing my mind about some things, or growing in compassion or empathy for other people, changing my opinions that I had growing up. Is
Yeah,
that
I think that's valuable. I think that's a great point. For me, I guess it's been less experiential and more just like I'm so like human and connection centered. So just like the more people I'm able to meet, either digitally or like in person, or like watching people's authentic stories on social media, like that's when I'm able to like gain like the new understanding, like through other people's experiences and like my experiences and interactions with them.
I feel like you've had a gift for connecting with other people and other people's stories, Sierra, which I feel like maybe some people don't have that gift. I feel like it's harder
Yeah.
for me to like connect deeply or empathetically with other people who I like don't know or haven't experienced something similar to what they've
Yeah.
experienced.
That's kind of you to say. I think maybe my gift is like the desire to do so. I think everybody has the ability to empathize. For some, maybe it's harder. I definitely have been, sometimes it feels a burden to like empathize too deeply. Like you know, but the ability to empathize and to recognize other people, it's just like that's the whole point, right? Why else, like everyone on this planet is different, and everyone, aliens are different too, you know. Should I ever be blessed to meet one? I just was watching stuff on the Senate meeting today, so I'm kind of thinking about that. But like where there's that's the point, right? Otherwise we would all be like boring like amorphous blobs, and then the point of that existence would not be to like empathize and to learn from each other. But because we're not boring gray blobs of matter, and we have like brains and we think and we do things differently, and sometimes we fight about those things, but I think that that's like the point, and that's like what makes us human.
It definitely gives purpose and meaning and excitement to life. Connor, would you say you're a deeply empathetic person?
I I think I feel like the older I get, the more experiences I have, I become more empathetic. Um, so I would say I'm more empathetic than I used to be, but I would also say I'm not. Um, I guess I connect with people's experiences more if I've gone through it myself.
Yeah,
I try to be empathetic.
yeah. I think I'm kind of there with you. Not all of us are empaths,
I don't know if I don't think
unfortunately.
everyone couldn't be an empath, because then everyone would be really depressed all the time, I think.
Some of us need to be callous. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. This leads into our next question. What things specifically do you feel it's okay to be closed minded about? Maybe nothing. Maybe it's not okay to be closed minded about anything. But if we're leaning towards things to be closed-minded about, what are some of those things? I'll start us off. Soccer is the greatest sport in the world. Playing video games with other men is healthy, and romantic partnerships would be better if partners played video games together. Genocide is wrong. Just thought I'd throw that one in there. Horror movies are not worth my time.
Agree.
And the Carpenters created only bad music. Those are my closed-minded things.
Like you're
Try and
not
change
willing to
my
hear
mind.
anything else. Yeah, don't even try. Okay.
Don't even fight me on any of these. I would be open to having a discussion about video games, but just know I'll come at you very hard if you disagree with me.
But
Tell
I
me
feel
that I'm
like
wrong. That
I
romantic relationships would be stronger if the partners played video games together. Because I've had people walk into my apartment when the men were playing video games together. Doesn't have to be men, but in our case, it was men, and they said, "This is the best communication that I have ever heard any men have." Was when we were playing Call of Duty, Black Ops, Zombies together. It
no,
was
I
it was
think
detailed, it was direct. We conveyed everything very clearly because we had to survive. And I'm just saying, if you and your partner play video games together, you could be like, "Oh, get that side. Oh, I trust you now because we've helped each other in battle. Let's open up about this challenging thing that happened in our relationship recently."
I actually have a lot of thoughts on this topic. Number one, I do agree that video games increase. There's a lot of studies that show it. I was part of a study that one of my professors in college was doing that was about how playing cooperative video games. The study was about garage band. So no combat. I'm not about that in real
Hey,
life or in
well,
fake life.
there's probably a correlation.
Was like increase like with strangers, people you didn't know, like increase like your like camaraderie and like would increase like if you had to work on a team with them later, like increase your ability to like work with them and your enjoyment from it. And I trust that professor, but I also believe that's true.
Oh my gosh,
Sometimes
that's such a good idea. Sorry to cut you off, Sierra. I just
no,
had
no,
you
go,
gave me
go.
a great idea. Okay, you're a business manager. You have new people onboarded as workers. Instead of having them
Mm-hmm.
play video games like against each other or like they're fighting each other, or you do other stupid team building activities, you put them in a video game situation where they have to play together against the common enemy. You would build relationships so quickly.
Yeah, it's
Continue. Yeah.
it's valuable and it's been proven. So I think it's good. In a relationship, I don't have a lot of experience with relationships. I've been married for shoot 4 years, I think.
Holy smokes.
Yes, like 4.5 years. But anyway, so I don't have a lot of experience in that area, but I would say that it needs to be a cooperative game and low stress because my level of video games is like Mario Kart. And one time we all tried to play Overcooked together. It was way too stressful. I had a 0 out of 10 time. So I just think that it needs to be a really low stress game. Luigi's Mansion, Mario Kart, that was a great option. Yeah.
To a Call of Duty player who's hardened and has thousands of hours under their belt, Mario Kart is a child's game. I'll just say that right now. But there is some
Yeah.
compromise. There's
But
some
so are
compromise.
Legos, and I love those too. So, like, come at me. I don't care. Like, I'm a kidult. Like, I don't even care.
I love that.
Yeah. So, I don't
All
have
right.
anything else to say about
Who
that.
wants to go? Well, let's let Sierra finish off since she's our guest. Connor, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I think there's definitely things that people should be closed-minded about, like the value of like responsibility and integrity, things like that. I don't think you need to explore, be that open-minded about not having integrity. Like core values like that, don't think you need to branch out of too much. I would fight back on the soccer one a bit. I'm partial to basketball and college football. And let's see.
Have you guys been watching the hype around Messi playing in the United States now?
Mm-mm.
Just the greatest
No.
soccer player in the world decided to play for an American club.
Oh my goodness.
Does that mean he's in
Shut up.
decline then?
Yes, that's where all the retired players go. But in 2 games, he's scored 3 goals for them. And he joined like the worst team in the league. And now they're projected to end up in the playoffs.
That's awesome. Have you
He
seen
just
Ted
wanted to-
Lasso?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
It's like that guy's Zava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Anyways, continue, Connor. Basketball and college football are good too.
Yeah, basketball, college football. Golf is entertaining.
Oh,
And not entertaining as in like your heart's just racing watching it. I think it's entertaining that it is very, I think, relaxing to watch golf.
It is.
And
They
tennis.
play those fake bird sounds. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's so green. It's just happy colors.
It is.
God.
Sometimes it's exciting. Did you see? There was a match a while ago where what's his name? He like got a hole in one, but like it like just fell perfectly in the hole. Like a. No, you didn't see that. Okay, it was very exciting. Okay.
That sounds
Basically,
exciting. I'll have to look it up.
It was a hole in one from I don't know how many yards far, and it like went in, and it didn't even like hit the green and then roll in. It went straight into the hole. It was crazy.
Wow.
So
that's impressive. I'm gonna have to look that up.
You
And
have
last thing I will say that one thing I'm glad I was open-minded about was Call of Duty Zombies, because I have some great memories playing that with Josh when we were roommates. That used to be a hill that I would die on, is that video games are stupid and nobody needs to play them. But I am a big fan of Call of Duty Zombies now. So communication does increase significantly while playing that game.
You can take like polar opposite personalities, throw it in that game, and you'll become bonded for life.
See, I think everybody would hate me if I was playing that game with them, because they'd be like, "You so idiot."
No, you just need a couple 100 hours of practice, and then you'd be good to go.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd want to play it in like a relationship, but like just with your buddies,
that's what I'm saying.
Your friends, yeah. I think it's great.
Only cooperative games in a relationship. Otherwise, I mean, unless you're both good at video games, I would say.
Danielle is not good at video games, and she plays.
So play Mario Kart.
No, we played Halo together, and she just ran into the corner the whole time. Didn't get a single. Yep, and it was so fun. It was so
Did
fun.
Did she have fun, or was it fun for you to laugh at her?
Don't know.
There
Probably the latter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sierra, take us out.
What was the question? Oh yeah, put her things to be close-minded. So yeah, again, just because of my definition of close-mindedness being like not willing to listen, I would say there's like nothing that's worth like being close-minded on. But that's just because I don't believe that listening ever needs to also involve like changing who you are. But you should always be willing to be like disproven, and that's something that I have been striving to work on for a while. Like I just always want to like go in to talk with someone. I really want to like pretend that I don't know anything about this, and I really want to like try to see another side, like as if I could believe it. Because for me, if I go into a conversation thinking like the way I know how to live, or like the answer I have is the only right one, then I'm not going to listen to actually what they're saying, right? For me. So it's important for me to just be able to be like, no, like I could be wrong. And that's probably what people think when they talk. Like I have a lot of crazy opinions. I think Bigfoot's real. Like you can't even fight me on that. I think aliens are 1000% real, and that they come here on like Star Tours and they come visit our, like, I think that they're always coming to be like, oh, look at this place, and then they zip off. Like, I think that's real. Like, I have a lot of really weird opinions, but it's important to be open-minded because you just don't know. Like, there's so many things we don't know. That, like, we used to think that, like, the earth was flat. Like, are you kidding me? And some people still are willing to die on that hill, and that's fine. But, like, there's always a billion things we don't know and that we'll never know. So why not, like, try to find something else?
Very, very well said. And that's why we brought you on, Sarah, because you have such strong opinions and you are a strong woman, and yet you are very empathetic and open-minded at the same time. I think you've struck a really, really good balance. And as you were talking, I thought about some ways that I could improve in my own approach to other people's stories. And I like that idea of coming into a situation, pretending like as if you didn't know anything. That is really valuable. I actually really like that. I think that's worth applying. Well, you guys, thanks for joining this episode of the Young Men Podcast, talking about hills that we would die on. This is a great convo. Sarah, thanks for hopping on, even though you're in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I mean, I love to chat. I talk all day long. So, like, just so I get to do it in a structured setting, it's very fun. And get to look at myself while I do it. So, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is nice to see yourself on the screen. Connor, thanks as always for being a lovely co-host and having great, thoughtful answers. And we will talk to you all later. Goodbye.